Some things hide in the dark, some things wait, and some things were never meant to be found. But here you are, searching. Welcome to Don't Fuck with the Shadows, a podcast where the veil is thin, the shadows are alive, and we talk about everything you were told not to. Some objects have a history you can't escape. They're more than just things. They're vessels of power, sorrow, or even malice. These objects don't belong in the world of the living. And when they come into your life, they have a way of making their presence felt. But how do they get cursed or haunted? What happens when an object absorbs the pain and the darkness of the world around it? And should you ever trust something that just feels off? Welcome to Don't Fuck with the Shadows, and today we're diving deep into the world of cursed and haunted objects, items that bring misfortune, tragedy, and death to those unlucky enough to possess them. So sit tight, because this is a ride through the eerie and unexplained, where we will explore the objects that should probably be left untouched forever. Before we jump into the infamous cursed objects and haunted objects of history, let's take a moment to understand what really makes an object cursed or haunted. It's not just about being old or haunted. A cursed object or haunted object is something that has absorbed negative energy, whether it's pain, loss, death, or anger, and becomes a vessel, a conduit for that energy to affect the living. Across cultures, objects are often believed to carry the spirits of the dead, and it could be a relic, a piece of jewelry, or even something as ordinary as furniture. These items can hold on to the grief, rage, or trauma of those long gone. Then there are curses intentionally placed by witches, shamans, or anyone with the desire to do harm. The intention behind the curse is a powerful one. Once that energy transfers to the object, it can wreak havoc on whoever crosses its path. Have you ever felt inexplicably drawn to an old vase or piece of jewelry, only to suddenly feel a chill or a sense of unease? Maybe it's not your imagination. Maybe it's something else. For example, there is a story of a woman who inherited a simple wooden jewelry box from her grandmother, and at first it seemed like a beautiful keepsake, but soon strange things began happening. She'd wake up to find the box open when she was sure she'd closed it. Objects inside would be rearranged. A cold feeling would settle into the room whenever she was near it. After a few weeks, she began having nightmares, visitors of a sorrowful woman crying inside the box. Eventually, she had to give it away, feeling the box carried more than just memories. It held something darker. Now, let's get into the famous and cursed objects, the ones that have made headlines and haunted the minds of believers and skeptics alike. The Hope Diamond. Its story begins in the 1600s. A French merchant named Jean-Baptiste Trevennier allegedly stole a rare blue diamond from the eye of a Hindu statue in India. The priest cursed the gem, swearing vengeance on anyone who possessed it. That curse, it begins to track, because soon after, Trevennier met a gruesome fate. Some say he was torn apart by wild dogs. Others say he died in poverty and madness. Either way, the diamond's dark tale had just begun. King Louis XIV, the Sun King, bought it and had it recut into a 67-carat stone called the Blue Diamond of the Crown of France. He wore it sometimes, even on a ribbon around his neck. Sounds flashy? Not for long. After Louis XIV died of gangrene, the diamond passed down to his heirs. His great-grandson Louis XV also wore it, and finally it landed with Marie Antoinette, the infamous queen whose extravagance became symbolic of royal excess. They were said to have worn the French blue as part of ceremonial attire. Maria was obsessed with jewels, but this one, it may have marked her fate. The French Revolution exploded in 1789. The people were starving. The monarchy was blind. King Louis and Marie Antoinette were arrested, imprisoned, and ultimately beheaded by guillotine in 1793. And during the chaos in 1792, the French blue was stolen from the royal treasury, along with an entire crown jewel collection, vanished, just like the heads of its owners. For decades, no one knew what happened to it, but experts believe the diamond resurfaced in London around 1812, conveniently exactly 20 years after the theft, and that was the statute of limitations of the crime. It had been recut into a smaller, deeper blue gem, what we now call the Hope Diamond, and from there, the body count just keeps rising. So when people say it's just a rock, I say it's a rock that watched a dynasty fall, a revolution rage, and a queen lose her head. This gem is soaked in royal blood, and it's just getting started. By the early 1900s, the Hope Diamond had traveled from ancient temples to royal guillotines and into the manicured hands of the wealthy elite. And like a siren, it sang a song of doom once again. Enter Evelyn Walsh McLean, a Washington, D. socialite. Heiress to a gold and silver mining fortune, a woman believed nothing could touch her, not even curse. In 1911, Evelyn bought the diamond from Pierre Cartier. Yes, that Cartier. He knew the gem's story and sold it with a warning. This stone has a dark reputation. Evelyn didn't care. She believed a cursed diamond might actually bring her good luck. She even made it into a stunning pendant and wore it at lavish parties. But if the Hope Diamond had been sleeping, Evelyn's touch seemed to wake it up. Evelyn's life soon became a slow-motion collapse. Her mother-in-law died suddenly. Her firstborn son, Vincent, was hit by a car in front of their estate. He was just 9 years old. Her husband, Ned McLean, spiraled into insanity, alcoholism, and other women. Eventually, he was institutionalized. Her daughter overdosed and died in her 20s. Evelyn herself, once the Belle of D.C., died alone in 1947 in a house that felt more like a crypt than a mansion. Evelyn's estate was a mess. The Hope Diamond was sold to pay debts and eventually landed in the hands of Harry Winston, a jeweler who donated this to the Smithsonian Institution in 1958. But even that wasn't clean. The man who delivered the diamond, James Todd, reportedly suffered a series of misfortunes after handling it. His leg was crushed in an accident, his wife died, his dog choked on a bone, his house burned down, and his car caught fire. All after mailing a cursed diamond through the freaking U.S. Postal Service. Today, it is under heavy glass at the Smithsonian. Tourists marvel at its sparkle. But they don't see the shattered families, ruined lives, or the blood it's worn like a second setting. The Hope Diamond didn't bring Evelyn McLean good luck. It brought her a legacy of grief. What if it doesn't curse everyone? What if it just picks the ones who think they're untouchable? Next, we have Annabelle the doll. She's not the porcelain nightmare from the movies. No glass eyes or painted lips. She's fabric, stitched, ragged. A soft-bodied Raggedy Ann doll that looks like something you'd find in a thrift store or your grandmother's attic. I have one that my great-grandma made me. I think it was my great-grandma. But don't be fooled by her smile, because what's trapped inside Annabelle isn't childlike. It's predatory. The story starts in 1970 when a nursing student named Donna receives Annabelle as a gift from her mother. Just a sweet vintage doll, right? She places her on the couch in the apartment she shares with her roommate Angie, but it doesn't take long for things to get weird. The doll starts moving. Not just a tilt of the head or a new position on the couch, but full body relocations. One day she's in the living room, the next behind a locked bedroom door. Then there were the notes, crumpled scraps of parchment paper appearing in the apartment. They read, "Help us. Help Lou." Lou was a friend of theirs, and the message, they would soon make horrifying sense. Lou hated the doll. He always felt uneasy around it. Then one night he had a dream. Annabelle climbed up onto his chest and began strangling him. He woke up gasping, heart racing, but that wasn't the worst of it. Days later, Lou was alone in the apartment when he heard something in Donna's room. He walked in. Annabelle was sitting in the corner. Suddenly, he felt a pain tear through his chest. He looked down. Bloody claw marks appeared on his torso, burning, as if made by invisible hands. No one was there, just the doll, sitting, watching. Terrified, Donna contacted a medium. The medium claimed that the doll was inhabited by a spirit named Annabelle Higgins, a little girl who died on the property years before. Donna, moved by the tragic story, gave the spirit permission to stay, but that was a mistake. According to Ed and Lorraine Warren, this wasn't a little girl at all, but a demonic entity using the innocent name as bait. The Warrens took the case, declared the spirit inhuman, and arranged for a full exorcism of the apartment. The Warrens took Annabelle with them and immediately experienced car trouble. Ed said the steering locked multiple times, nearly sending them off the road until he sprinkled holy water on the doll. Once home, they placed her in their occult museum in Monroe, Connecticut. She now rests in a specially crafted glass case surrounded by crucifixes and a sign that reads, "Warning, positively do not open." Lorraine often said Annabelle radiated a darkness unlike anything they'd ever encountered, and the stories don't stop there. Our visitors once mocked Annabelle and banged on... One visitor mocked Annabelle and banged on her glass. Ed warned him not to. The man and his girlfriend left on a motorcycle. Less than an hour they crashed. He died instantly. She survived, but claimed he had been laughing about the doll just before the wreck. Coincidence? Maybe, but stories like this surround Annabelle constantly, and they're not all decades old. With the rise of TikTok and YouTube, Annabelle's legend was reborn. Users from New Orleans to Salem have claimed to receive mysterious messages after watching Annabelle videos. Some report nightmares, others swear they've seen the doll move on live streams. Whether truth or internet myth, one thing's certain, the fear is real. And Annabelle isn't fading from memory. She's growing stronger in the cultural collective. This summer, Annabelle isn't locked away. She's part of the Devils on Run tour, traveling across the U.S. From historic jails to haunted hotels, she is visiting some of America's darkest places. Paranormal fans are lining up to see her. Some come for selfies, others just want to feel her presence. That thick, static-charged air when something is not right. But here's a warning, directly from the Warrens Museum staff. Don't taunt her, don't challenge her, and for the love of all that's sacred, don't touch the glass. Dolls have always been seen as vessels, mirrors of the soul, but Annabelle, she's not a mirror, she's a magnet for something dark, clever, and patient. She doesn't blink, she doesn't breathe, but if you listen long enough, you might swear you hear her whispering your name. Next, we got the Dybbuk box. Some boxes carry memories, some carry heirlooms, but this one carries something older, something hungry. A soul, a curse, a Dybbuk. In Jewish mysticism, a Dybbuk, from the Hebrew word meaning to cling, is the dislocated soul of a dead person. Not a ghost, not a demon, a human soul trapped in anguish. These spirits do not haunt from afar. They attach to the living, driven by unfinished business, guilt, vengeance, or shame, a Dybbuk invades its host slowly, unraveling their body, mind, and spirit. Traditionally, a Dybbuk can only be expelled by a rabbinical exorcism, often involving the reading of sacred texts, the flowing of shofar, and a direct spiritual confrontation. But what if something is trapped? What if someone has trapped one in a box? In 2001, a Portland man named Kevin Mannis walked into a local estate sale. The woman holding the sale was the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor who had escaped the Nazi-occupied Poland. She was selling her grandmother's belongings, including a small wooden wine cabinet. Mannis bought the box and took it to his antique shop. That's when the nightmares began. Kevin dreamed of a shadow woman, a hag-like figure with deep-set eyes and a twisted mouth standing over him, murmuring in Hebrew, paralyzing him with fear. Lights in his store began to burst. Objects moved. He smelled rotting jasmine and cat urine with no source. Then his mother had a stroke the very day he gave her the box as a gift. When Kevin opened the Dybbuk box, he found a dried rosebud, a small golden goblet, 2 1920s wheat pennies, a lock of blonde hair and one of black, a mysterious granite tablet etched with the Hebrew word shalom. Some speculate these were part of a binding ritual used to trap the Dybbuk and keep it from escaping. Kevin wrote that after opening the box, every person around it experienced dread, depression, and health issues. He began logging these events in an online diary, now considered the first viral cursed object tale of the 21st century. Desperate, Kevin sold the box on eBay in 2003, but the curses traveled with it. Jason Haxton, a museum director and medical professor, developed rashes, breathing issues, and vivid nightmares. He claimed the box would emit a blinding light and make his house smell like decay. A college student claimed he was reportedly woken by a shadow entity, suffered hallucinations, and found scratch marks on his body. Each new owner passed it off as quickly as possible. Many refused to speak publicly. Others were hospitalized. In 2012, Lionsgate released The Possession, inspired by the Dybbuk box story. It dramatized the spirit of a young girl trapped in a haunted cabinet. The actual box was then purchased by Zach Baggins, the host of Ghost Adventures. He displayed it in his haunted museum in Las Vegas. During a shoot, Post Malone touched the box, or at least touched Zach's shoulder while Zach touched the box. Days later, Post survived a plane emergency, a car crash, and a robbery at gunpoint. He called it the worst streak of luck in his life. Critics claim this box is a hoax, pointing to Kevin Mannis himself admitting that parts of his story were embellished. But those who've touched it, dreamed about it, or just stood in the same room say otherwise. Even if the origins are clouded, something lives in that box, something that doesn't forgive being disturbed. A Dybbuk isn't some cartoon demon. It's the echo of real pain, trauma, wrapped in centuries of sacred belief. In the box, maybe it worked. Maybe someone decades ago found a way to contain the grief and lock it away in wood and salt and whispers. So if you ever find an old box filled with personal relics, don't open it, don't touch it, and for the love of the shadows, don't invite what's inside. Next, we have Robert the Doll. Not all haunted dolls are made in Hollywood. Some are real. Some have been watching, listening, waiting. And in Key West, Florida, there's one behind glass who's known by the name Robert. And if you don't ask him for permission before snapping his photo, well, he might just follow you home. In the early 1900s, Robert Eugene Otto, called Gene by family, was a boy growing up in a stately Victorian home in Key West. His family was wealthy, well-known, and according to the town's gossip, not always kind to their servants. One servant in particular was dismissed under suspicious circumstances. Before she left, she gave Jean a handmade doll, nearly as tall as he was, dressed in a sailor's uniform that mirrored Jean's own. The servant was rumored to have practiced Bahamian Obet or Haitian voodoo, depending on the telling, and some believe she used human hair and graveyard dirt to stuff the doll. If that's true, Robert was never a toy. He was a vessel. Robert the doll stands around 40 inches tall. He wears a child's white sailor suit and in one hand holds a small stuffed lion. His face is worn and cracked, eyes made of black beads that seem to catch the light just right, or maybe the light catches you. Some visitors say they see him smirk. Others say his expression shifts when no one's looking. But for Jean Otto, Robert was a friend and a scapegoat. Soon after Robert came into Jean's life, unexplainable things started happening. Furniture overturned in empty rooms, dishes shattered, voices in the walls. Every time Jean was confronted, he'd just say one thing: Robert did it. His parents would hear Jean talking to the doll in his room. What disturbed them the most was the deep voice that answered back. Neighbors claimed to see Robert moving from the window to window when no one was home. Others swore they heard the soft laughter echoing through the house at night, and sometimes Robert appeared in rooms where no one had placed him. Jean grew up, left home, studied art in Chicago and Paris. He returned in the 1930s with a wife and a curious attachment to his childhood companion. He brought Robert out of storage and gave him his own room with child-sized furniture, a toy chest, and a window seat overlooking Eaton Street. Visitors reported hearing footsteps and shifting furniture upstairs. Jean's wife despised the doll. Some say her health declined the longer she lived with it. Others believe she tried to lock Robert in the attic, only to find him back in his room the next morning. When Jean died in 1974, the house was sold, and Robert was left behind. The new owners, including a 10-year-old girl, began reporting paranormal activity almost immediately. The girl claimed the doll attacked her, that it tried to smother her in her sleep. To this day, she insists Robert was alive. Eventually, Robert was donated to the Fort East Martello Museum, where he now sits under glass. But the glass, it's more than just a display, it's a barrier. If you visit Robert, there's one rule you must follow. Ask his permission before taking his photo. Museum staff receive hundreds of letters addressed to the doll every year. Some are apologies, some are pleas, asking Robert to lift a curse, undo an accident, or to stop the misfortune that followed them home. A few include offerings, candy, money, even cigarettes. Others are just blank pages sent from the post offices all across the world. Coincidence? Maybe, but the security footage tells a different story. Visitors who ignore the warnings often report car accidents, broken bones, fired from jobs, hard drive wiped, and sudden breakups. One man said his camera froze and shattered in his hand after snapping a pic. Another woman claimed she saw Robert outside her hotel window that night. The letters keep coming, and so do the curses. Some say it's all psychological, a case of mass suggestion. But how do you explain the handwriting in Jean's journals changing over time, becoming more erratic, almost childlike, or that visitors, without knowing the history, report the same symptoms: headache, chills, the sensation of being watched? Even if Robert isn't possessed, maybe he's a mirror reflecting back the fear we project. Or maybe he's something else entirely. If you find yourself in Key West and you walk through the halls of that Fort East Martello Museum, you'll see him, sitting quietly, staring through the glass. Ask him for permission, don't laugh, don't disrespect him, and whatever you do, don't forget to say goodbye. Next, we have the Devil's Rocking Chair. A mysterious inheritance. The story begins when the Glatzel family receiving an antique rocking chair under mysterious circumstances. Whispers circulate that the chair wasn't simply a forgotten heirloom, it was steeped in an ancient darkness. Local lore suggests its origins might be tied to the occult practices, setting the stage for the terror that was to follow. Soon after its arrival, things in the Gleitzel household take a foreboding turn. Unexplained creaks in the night, inexplicable cold spots, and a persuasive sense of dread surrounding the chair. Family members later recall how the object seemed to possess an aura that was more than just wood and upholstery, a silent harbinger of malevolent forces. 11-year-old David Glatzel starts to exhibit strange behavioral changes. What initially appeared to be a child temper tantrum soon morphs into episodes of uncharacteristic aggression and inexplicable fear. The source, the seemingly Monius rocking chair, now rumored to be a direct conduit for the demonic presence. As David's condition worsens, the family's desperation mounts. They reach out to famed paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, known for their groundbreaking work on demonic possessions, and the Warrens arrive and immediately note that the chair isn't inert. It moves on its own. It's gentle, rocking, setting a hypnotic, otherworldly pace that seems synchronized with the dark force possessing young David. In an effort to save David, the Warrens conduct multiple exorcisms. Each session reveals the chair's disturbing role. It rocks violently during intense moments of the ritual, and as if the demonic entity were using it as a throne. Witnesses of the exorcisms report that the chair's movement were both unexplained and deliberately timed, heightening the terror of the experience. Paranormal investigators, mystified yet resolute, documented that chair not only reacted to the possession, but seemed to amplify the energy of the dark entity. Its persistent creaking and swaying became the eerie soundtrack to an unfolding spiritual battle that left more questions than answers. Despite the dramatic exorcisms performed on David, the chair's curse was far from over. The malevolent spirit, unrepentant and opportunistic, soon found a new vessel in a troubled man named Arnie Johnson. Johnson's behavior rapidly deteriorated over the insidious influence of the demonic force. It wasn't long before his possession culminated in a horrifying act and murder that shocked the community. Witnesses later claimed that Johnson, in a state of otherworldly possession, became incapable of distinguishing his own will from that of the entity controlling him. The chilling twist in the tale is the claim that the demonic presence had an essence, sat in that very rocking chair, transferring its sinister energy from David to Johnson. This narrative, macabre and fantastical, laid the groundwork for what would be known as a landmark case in paranormal lore. Arnie Johnson's trial would become the stuff of legends. For the first time in U.S. history, the defense argued that demonic possessions was responsible for his heinous act. Courtrooms across the nation shook as legal teams grappled with the concepts that straddled the line between jurisprudence and the paranormal. This trial wasn't just about a murder, it was the cultural clash. The prosecution sought rational explanations and hard evidence, while the defense painted a picture of a man overtaken by the forces beyond his control. Though Johnson was ultimately held accountable for his actions, and trial left an enduring legacy, the frightening possibility that the devil, it seemed, could be a silent accomplice in human affairs. Today, the infamous Devil's Rocking Chair is housed inside Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, a modern shrine to the world of paranormal phenomena. The museum is known for its collection of cursed and haunted artifacts, provides a fitting stage for the chair's ongoing story. Visitors to the museum recount eerie experience, uncontrollable crying, sudden cold shivers, and an overwhelming sense of dread when near the chair. In one particularly unsettling incident, multiple guests were so affected that the exhibit was temporarily closed, a testament to the chair's potent and unsettling presence. Even when the safe confines of the museum, the chair commands respect and fear. Paranormal researcher Zach Baggins recalls moments of inexplicable phenomena linked to the chair, and leaving many to wonder whether its cursed past still actively influences the present with supernatural energy. Would you sit in it? Now, here's the big question. Should we really fear cursed objects? Or are they just products of folklore, superstition, and wild imagination? I'll be honest, there's a part of me that truly believes some objects hold energy. Whether it's the necklace passed down through generations, a secondhand music box that plays when no one's around, sometimes it feels like these things carry more than just history. They carry a presence. Energy lingers, especially when it's tied to trauma, grief, and obsession. Maybe it's not about the objects being evil, but rather about the memories, the emotions, and the intentions embedded in it. The kind of residual energy can cling to smoke, and if you're sensitive to it, if you're open in the wrong moment, it can feel like something is watching or waiting. Still, there's always the skeptic side. Maybe it's all in our heads. Our minds spinning stories explains that creak in the night, or that cold spot by the stairs. Maybe our fear is what gives these items their power in the first place. So what do you think? Are cursed objects real? Can things truly be haunted? Or are we just projecting the darkest fears into inanimate things that can't fight back? Whatever side you fall on it, just remember, the next time you pick up something strange at a garage sale or feel drawn to a dusty antique with no known origin, take a moment, listen to your gut, because sometimes what seems like a harmless trinket could carry more than just a story. It could carry a spirit. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the world of cursed and haunted objects, whether you believe in the power they carry or think it's just a superstition. There's no denying these haunted items leaving a lasting impression. If you've ever encountered a cursed object or have had a strange story to share, I want to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and remember, there's no such thing as a harmless trinket. Some things are meant to stay buried. And as always, don't fuck with the shadows.